I love Star Trek, which is why I hate bad Star Trek. And now, here we are, in the final part of Not Our Savior Month. For this year, anyway. Well, we've discussed bad theology, we've discussed strawmen, so today let's just go on to flat out insulting the religious. And for that, we've got to go back to Voyager. This is NOS VOY, Prophecy. The episode begins, well, with a bang actually. Voyager's under attack.
A ship just decloaked off our port stern.
Can you identify them?
They recloaked.
I'll give it this episode does start out running, then it ends up having the runs, but still. And it turns out they're under attack by a Klingon ship, and an old one at that. Tuvok figures out the flaws of the old ships, and is able to use old tactics from Kirk's time to disable it.
Our cloak is failed. Divert emergency power to shield.
Oh, I'm disappointed. We don't get any Klingon language. You cheap bastards.
So Janeway hails the Klingons, but they refuse to surrender to their enemies, the Federation.
I think there's been a misunderstanding. The Empire signed a peace treaty with the Federation more than 80 years ago.
Janeway, why are you so surprised? They're flying around in a 70-year-old ship. They're here at a place that takes decades to get to from the Alpha Quadrant. Well, duh, they don't have the latest news.
I have a Klingon serving aboard this ship.
Impossible.
She's my chief engineer.
I will meet this chief engineer.
I'd like to know what you're doing in the Delta Quadrant.
I'm not answering any questions until I see the Klingon.
Why is Janeway rolling her eyes?
Sure, from his perspective, we're mortal enemies and we just tried to kill each other in space combat, but that's no excuse to be rude.
Captain Kolar.
Why is the captain named after a faucet?
Lieutenant Torres, our chief engineer.
So Captain Kolar notices that B'Elanna is pregnant and asks about the details.
I must return to my ship.
Aren't you interested in learning about the treaty?
Here's a copy of the Kittimer Accords.
I must return to my vessel.
It seems like this baby is somehow some sort of prophetic fulfillment for these people.
Your skepticism darkens my heart, Tigreth.
But last time...
And when you question me, you question the Makers. You hypocrites.
It turns out this is a generational pilgrim ship of Klingons, and that these are the descendants of the original pilgrims. Obviously. And the Klingon vessel is apparently now about to pop. And so Janeway has to decide whether or not to bring 200 Klingons aboard. To give you an idea of what the crew complement of Voyager is, it's between 140 and 150. This is a bump in the population.
Tell your crew to stand by for evacuation.
5, 4, 3. We have them.
Well, since just about everyone else uses this clip, let's just throw in this clip. Thank you, Star Trek 6.
Guess who's coming to dinner?
And Janeway quickly figures out that the Klingons actually destroyed their own ship and it wasn't damage caused by Voyager.
We would find the Kuva Mak, the savior of our people, the one who will lead us to a new empire. I believe the Kuva Mak is the unborn child of B'Elanna Torres.
I know this isn't going to be easy, but until we can find another place for them, we should do our best to make them feel comfortable. Dismissed.
How is everyone so casual about this development? They've more than doubled the population on the ship. Aren't you worried about your resources? Are you going to have enough food? Are you going to have enough water? Are you going to have enough air?
Tim, allow me to rebut.
Oh.
In the mess hall, Neelix has gone all Klingon.
Some of the Starfleet people have been complaining about the smell. Personally, I find it appealing. A kind of musky aroma.
Earthy, peaty aroma. With a touch of lilac.
And then two of the Klingons start fighting over food. And Harry Kim is going to break them up.
Wait, Harry Kim is going to break up a Klingon fight?
Yes, Harry Kim breaking up two Klingons. So Neelix tries to break them up too, and Alright? Need a cough drop or something? He also fails. And now the Klingon chick is all over Harry.
What a day!
Mr. Neelix, may I ask what you're doing here?
We're bunkmates.
You know, I get the need to bunk up and all, but can you at least ask the man before you move in and start trimming your toenails on his couch?
Vulcans approve of suicide.
You don't really want me to go back there and tell that family to get out, do you?
Pro tip. Don't try emotional manipulation with a species that doesn't do emotions.
Meanwhile, B'Elanna is being adored.
It's her.
You owe us autographs, you ungrateful cow. Come back here.
I will say Tom is actually being a pretty decent husband here, all in all.
I thought you'd be glad to have other Klingons around. You've always told me how uncomfortable it is being the only one.
I guess I should be careful what I wish for.
I thought that B'Elanna for most of her life resented and didn't care about Klingon tradition until she had that experience in that episode Barge of the Dead. Where is this coming from?
Meanwhile, several of the Klingons decide to hold a hunger strike until they can meet B'Elanna themselves. So B'Elanna finally agrees to go and meet them. Ah, candles. Well, at least oxygen isn't in short supply. On a spaceship! Head, shoulders, knees and toes, knees and toes. Head, shoulders, knees and toes, knees and toes.
Look at her ridges. Your blood is not pure.
My father was human.
The prophecy wouldn't lead us to a mongrel child!
Hey, take it easy.
Who are you?
The father of that mongrel child.
Well, that certainly clears up the whole mongrel issue. My apologies. And now the Pilgrims have an anti-B'Elanna faction among them. Captain Kolar desperately wants to stop the holy war that's starting to brew among them. He talks to Janeway, and they both agree that they need to con these stupid religious people for their own good, to get them to stop this meaningless chase after their prophesied Messiah, and just settle on a new planet somewhere.
When I saw Lieutenant Torres, that she was with child, I didn't know if I was looking at the mother of the Kuva Mach or not. But I did know I was looking at an opportunity to end this wasteful journey.
Congratulations, you have now stolen the plot to the road to El Dorado.
And you don't want that.
Because of course there's no possibility, none at all, that these Klingons could truly have a mission from Kahless to seek their Messiah. Oh, no. That's not even something that's open to considering.
Now, if they were Indian rubber people, on the other hand...
We can find a suitable planet. You can tell them it's their new home, and they'll follow you there.
I'm not going to lie to them.
What's the alternative? My people staying aboard your ship? Draining your resources?
Oh, resources! They just talked about resources. See.
Good for you.
Perhaps you won't have to lie to them to convince them. If you study the scrolls with me, we may be able to interpret them in a way that appears consistent with the events of your life.
In other words, lie to them. And now they decide to fudge the prophecy so they can mean whatever they want. Because this is what the religious people do, where they pick and choose. Well, some do. These people are called assholes. Kolar disapproves that B'Elanna is not into sincere Klingon faith, while he is deliberately marring the purpose of his writings for his own benefit.
Don't you honor any of your people's traditions?
You hypocrites.
It's midday. Time to remember the sacrifice of our ancestors.
So B'Elanna watches him pray, and then she starts to go along. Well, we've done a lot, but let's go ahead and go back to Kim's corner.
Okay, I'm confused. Remember how how earlier I said that B'Elanna grew up not really caring about Klingon tradition and religion? And then I mentioned that episode, The Barge of the Dead? Now we're making even less sense. Now we're pretending that the exact opposite happened. That B'Elanna loved it all growing up, but slowly fell away. No. In The Barge of the Dead, she had a major religious experience. She essentially became a born-again Klingon. She was all into this again. She had a spiritual vision quest with her mother's soul. Now they're pretending like she's just now coming around to this? B'Elanna shouldn't suddenly be realizing, oh, these prayers are meaningful. I'm genuinely surprised that she hasn't been saying them on a regular basis since The Barge of the Dead, which presented her with the very real possibility that her mother had gone to the afterlife and would need just these prayers. You're telling me that after this major religious experience, this hasn't become routine to her? D- for character continuity, Voyager. D-. Go back and repeat the 4th grade.
You know, this scene might actually be powerful and meaningful if we didn't already establish it was based on them trying to come up with effective lies.